Bonjour. Okay, so today this is a major topic, guys. This might be a little bit of a long video simply because it is a major thing. It's kind of one of the last major things that I need to teach you guys this year. Okay, this is le subjonctif. This is a new tense, but I hesitate to call it a tense simply because of the next slide. Okay, so le subjonctif, it is the subjunctive in English. Okay, so first of all, the subjunctif, it is a mood, okay? So it is not a tense, it is a mood. And so in English and in any language, we have tenses which express reality, that is more of an objective thing, and then we have moods, okay? So that means that the subjunctive is subjective. Okay, so that's what a mood is that it is based on a person's view or opinion of the situation. Okay, it may not be the truth, but it's what that person thinks of that. Okay, so it is seeing things through their filter. For example, if you just want to say, like, you're late, that is going to be a fact. Like if you were supposed to be there at noon and it is 12:30 and you're just walking in the door, if you just say you're late or you were late this morning, that is a fact. Okay, but as soon as I put how I'm feeling about the situation, if I want to say, like, I'm angry that you were late, or I'm angry that you are late, or oh, I'm relieved that you came late because I wasn't ready anyway, something like that. So if as soon as I put how I am feeling about that situation, that is going to be the subjunctive. Okay, so like I said, if you're expressing fact or reality, that is going to be what we call the indicative. Okay, and then that is going to be just in our normal tenses like present or passé composé or any of the things that we've been learning so far. But as soon as I put my filter on it, as soon as I say how I am feeling about the situation and you're seeing it through that filter, then that is going to be subjunctive. Okay, now we do have the subjunctive in English, and we use it. It's just I don't think that we recognize that it is going to be the subjunctive. We just kind of use it automatically and, like I said, don't realize what we're doing. For example, if we say the indicative and we say in normal tense, like I am on time, okay? So everybody knows, we've been talking about it. Anytime you say être or to be, it's I am. So again, a normal English sentence is I am on time. But then why do we change it to say it's necessary that I be on time? Like, why isn't it it's necessary that I am on time? A lot of the times we can say it's necessary that I be on time tomorrow morning because I have a meeting right at 7 or 8 or whatever. So when we say it is necessary that I be on time, then that is going to be subjunctive. Okay, so that's what it kind of looks like in English. Okay, a lot of the times, guys, it does look just like present tense, and that's a lot of the times why we don't recognize or see that it is subjunctive as opposed to indicative. Okay, all right, so now let's take a look at the usages. Okay, and so usages, how we remember how we did cheated when we were talking about imperfect. Now we're going to do weirdos. Okay, so if you want to write this down, pause the video, do whatever you have to do to take notes. Okay, this is going to be how we remember and how we use this. Now there is some overlap in this as well. And the packet that I'm going to give you doesn't do it as clearly in these little chunks. They kind of overlap them and mix and match them and things like that. So like I said, our packet that we're going to be working with for the next few days or week or whatever doesn't exactly follow this. Okay, so yeah, just be aware of that. So the first of all, W, that is going to be wishes or wants. Okay, now I'm going to delve into this deeper in these next few slides, but I just want you to get these down and then I'll kind of talk about them. All right, so wishes and wants. E is going to be emotions of how you're feeling about the situation. Okay, I is going to be impersonal expressions. All right, R is going to be requests. D is going to be doubt, which honestly is my favorite one of these to talk about. Okay, O is going to be opinion, and S is going to be superlative. So once again, if you need to pause this video right here to get these written down, go ahead and do it. But I'm going to go on because you guys have the power to pause the video if you need. Okay. Now, examples of usage. Here we go. So once again, I'm going to baby step through these weirdos things. So first of all, the W, like I said, was wishes and wants. First of all, it is always going to have a k. Okay, so it is I don't know, you just always have to have it. Okay, so subjunctive, it's always going to be something something k, and then that next clause after the k is going to go into subjunctive. Okay, but this first part really can be in any tense you want. It could be in present tense, it could be in past tense, it could be in imperfect or conditional or whatever. Okay, but once again, this first part, okay, is going to go in whatever, and then after the k is going to go the subjunctive. Okay, so we have wishes and wants. So it could be je veux que, je désire que, j'exige que, j'ordonne que, je préfère que. Is I want, I desire, I demand, I order you, I prefer that. Okay, so all of those are going to be wishes and wants. And by the way, while I am talking about it, I did not put it as a specific point in the video, but I'm going to say it now, is the fact of when you have a je here, you cannot have a je in the next half. So they cannot match. You cannot have a je and a je. You can't have a tu and a tu. You can't have a nu and a nu, that sort of thing. Okay, that is not going to be subjunctive. We will deal with that later, but it can't be I want that I get a package, in the mail today. No, that's a different way of saying that. Okay. But this is going to be, I want that you get a package in the mail today, or I want that you memorize these vocab words before the class tomorrow, or I ask that you bring your book to class next time, or something like that. So notice it's always going to be a je and something else. It's not going to be a je and a je, a tu and a tu, etc. Now, there can be an eel and an eel if you want to say that eel is two different he's, if that's what makes sense. So if you want to say he wants that he brings his book tomorrow, well, if we're talking about two different he's, that's perfectly fine. Okay. Or we want that we do this, I don't know. Then if they're two separate we's, then you can do that. Okay. Another thing, you can do an eel and an eel if the first eel is an it. Like it is necessary that he brings his book to class, then the eel and an eel aren't the same thing. The eel and an eel aren't the same person. Okay. But like I said, I did not put it as a separate point in here, but I do just need to mention it. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. So then emotions. Emotions, this is obviously going to be expressing emotions. So it's how you feel about the situation. So, je suis heureux que, je suis triste que, je suis furieux que, je regrette que, cela m'étonne que. So I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm furious, I'm sorry that. And cela m'étonne is like, that surprises me that he was on time today or something like that. Okay, so once again, it's emotions, it's how you are feeling about the situation. Okay, now the next one, impersonal expressions. This again, impersonal expressions, like I just mentioned, is when the eel is an it, it's not a he. Okay, so it's impersonal, there's no personal subject to it. Okay, so examples of these, and guys, once again, this is not an exhaustive list. There's more lists elsewhere, whether it be in your packet, in your book, on the internet, whatever. I am just literally throwing up some examples for you just so you can kind of see what we're getting, just to get a little taste. Okay, so impersonal expressions could be il faut que, il est nécessaire que, il vaut mieux que, il est rare que, il suffit que. So by the way, il faut que is the only one that is taught in this unit of the book. And it drives me crazy that your book is teaching you the entire tense of the mood of subjunctive, and they're only teaching you il faut que. So that is another reason why I am expanding on this, and you are learning the whole subjunctive in this unit. We will hit it again in, I think, unit 4, maybe, the rest of it. But right now, like I said, your book is only saying you il faut que, but I'm teaching you basically the whole thing. Okay, so remember, il faut que is it is necessary, or you have to. Okay, il est nécessaire, it's necessary that. Il vaut mieux que, that would be like, it's better that, you do this before, you leave. Il est rare, it's rare. Il suffit que is like, it suffices of, that's enough. Like, it's enough that, you do 2 pages instead of 5. We'll do the rest tomorrow, something like that. Okay, so il suffit que. So remember, those are eels that are it, it's eels that aren't he. Okay, next chunk, request. Okay, so je veux que, j'aimerais que, je souhaite que, je suggère que, j'ai besoin que, I want, I would like, I wish, I suggest, I need that you do this before tomorrow or something like that. Okay, so these again kind of overlap with those wishes and wants. So like I said, sometimes it's not always clear cut, because if you're looking at this list going, well, that's kind of like the wishes on the other slide. Yeah, I know. Like I said, there's a lot of overlap. Okay, next one. Now we've got doubt. And like I told you, doubt is my favorite one to talk about. I don't know why. Okay. Just because, I don't know, it's a little fun. It's like a puzzle, that sort of thing. So if you are doubting, if there is any slightest bit of doubt in your mind, then that is going to be subjunctive. Okay. So we are going to have phrases like je doute que, je ne suis pas sûr que, il est possible que, il n'est pas certain que, il n'est pas clair que. So I doubt, I'm not sure, it's possible, it's not certain, it's not clear that whatever. Okay. Now, again, in all of these, there is going to be a teeny tiny, tiny bit of doubt. Even if there is 1% doubt, that is going to be in the subjunctive. But by the way, this is an exception. If you use the phrase il est probable que, that it's probable, then for some reason that is not subjunctive. That is going to go indicative, which, like I said, that is like normal, like present, passé composé, that sort of stuff. So just watch out for il est probable, because il est probable does not take the subjunctive. All right. Now, I do have a few things to talk about this with doubt. Okay. Now, but. If we are talking about phrases like to be sure of something, to be certain of something, if we are talking about verbs like penser and croire, remember, penser is the verb to think and croire is the verb to believe. Okay. Now, if these things are affirmative, if I want to say, I am sure, or I am certain, or I think that, or I believe that, then in your mind, that is 100% sure, that is 100% certain, there is no doubt. So if you are saying any of these affirmatively, then that is going to be no subjunctive. That's just going to be plain old indicative. You got me? Okay. But if it is negative, so if you say, I'm not sure, I'm not certain, I don't think so, I don't believe so, if that, there's doubt in there, okay? So if you are going to have any tiny bit of doubt, then that is going to be subjunctive. Okay, now kind of going along with that, if you ask questions with any of these, so if you want to go, are you sure? Are you certain? Do you think that? Or do you believe that? Then in your mind, there's some doubt in there. Okay, so then that is also going to go subjunctive. Okay, so let's just go through that again. So if it is affirmative, if you're saying, yes, I think, I believe that, there's no doubt, then that means that's not subjunctive. That's just going to go indicative. Okay, if you say negative, like I don't think, or I don't believe, or I'm not sure, I'm not certain, that's subjunctive. If you say, are you sure? Are you certain? Do you think? Do you believe? Then that is also going to go subjunctive. Okay, now I'm not going to talk anymore about opinions or the superlative, just because we will cover that a little more in French 4 when we review this next year. But then, yeah, we really don't kind of cover it this time. It doesn't really come up in the packet, but just know that those do exist. Okay, so now let's look at some of these verbs and how to form it. So now we've talked about usage. So now let's talk about formation. Okay. Now, formation, first things first, for the boot, okay? So the je, the tu, the il, el, and the ils, els plural. All right, you're going to take the ils, els plural form and you're going to cut off the ent, okay? Then the endings. For je, you're going to put an e. For tu, you're going to put an es. For il and el and on, you're going to put on an e. And for the ils and els, you're going to put the ent right back on. Okay, so I know it looks a little weird of like, wait, we're cutting off the ent just to put the ending on right again. Yep, that's exactly what we're doing. So a lot of the times these verbs might look exactly like present tense. Okay, there's only some of the weird ones or some of the irregular verbs that you're going to say, hey, wait a minute, that looks weird. What is that? It's subjunctive. Okay, but like I said, if for er verbs, at least er verbs are going to look exactly like what they do in present tense, because again, those are the same endings. But now for the nous and the vous, it's the same as the imparfait, usually. Okay, so if you need to do the IONS or the IEZ, then that's what you guys need to do. And there are going to be slight changes. So like I said, there are other books, there are other workbooks, there are other websites that teach this slightly different. I think your book teaches it slightly different, but if you follow this, this is a lot better rule-wise. There's less exceptions if you do it this way. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of these verbs. I'm going to give you a regular ER, I'm going to give you a regular IR, and I'm going to give you a regular RE. Okay, good, let's look. Okay, so first of all, we've got done. Okay, so here's our regular ER verb. So we have, and remember, all of this is going to be que. So que je donne, que tu donnes, qu'il donne, que nous donnions, que vous donniez, qu'il donne. Okay, so as you can see here, there's that boot, okay, where we have the E, ES, E, ENT. So those four guys, like I said, look exactly like present tense, okay, because we're taking off that ENT, at least for this eels form, just to put the ENT right back on. Now, once again, it is these that are going to look like the imparfait because of that IONS and the IEZ. All right, so now let's take a look at an IR. Okay, so we have the verb finir, que je finisse, que tu finisses, qu'il finisse, que nous finissions, que vous finissiez, qu'il finisse. Okay, so guys, this is one of the reasons why we don't just take the infinitive. Okay, because if we just took the infinitive and took off the IR, we would not be having these ISSs in here. Okay, but it's because we are taking that ISS ENT and we're only cutting off the ENT, that is why we're left with all these ISSs. Okay, now notice we do have that IONS. So again, that's the same as the imparfait. Okay, so like I said, this is why we take the ils else form. We don't take just the infinitive. Okay. All right, now another one, now we've got our RE verb, okay, I just did vendre, so que je vende, que tu vendes, qu'il vende, que nous vendions, que vous vendiez, qu'il vende. So once again, this one, well, and this one, is gonna look exactly like present tense, but the rest of them are going to look weird, okay, because this is not the endings that we usually use for present tense, okay? So really, the ER verbs here, the ER verbs are going to look like present tense for the most part, but the rest of these are going to have little tweaks or whatnot, just because, like I said, we're taking the ils else form, cutting off the ENT instead of just the infinitive, okay? So those are regular verbs. Now, I didn't give you any examples in this of reflexive, but guys, reflexives work the same exact way. I don't have to make a slide about it, okay? Now, I do want to give you a few of the irregulars because, again, when they're irregular, they're irregular. Now, in the packet that I'm going to be giving you, they are all going to be on page 332 of the packet, which is the second page of the packet. So I'm just throwing up some of the more commonly used ones. I'm not going to give you an exhaustive thing. So a lot of the times you are going to have to look at the second page in the packet for these irregulars. Okay, this second page of the packet is going to be like your Bible when you are doing this packet, because that is basically where all of these irregular verbs are. Okay, so look at the second page of the packet. Now, let's, like I said, look at some of the commonly used irregular ones. Okay, so we've got être. We've got je sois, nous soyons, tu sois, sorry, je sois, tu sois, il soit, que nous soyons, que vous soyez, qu'il soit. So if you want to look at this as a boot verb because of those OIs in there, you go right ahead. But then we have those Ys in there. We have actually seen this before. It is when we are talking about the command form. All right, but this is the subjunctive. Okay, so going back to my example at the beginning, if I want to say it is necessary that I be on time tomorrow, then it's going to be il est nécessaire que je sois à l'heure demain. Okay, je sois. Don't say je suis, that's indicative, that's regular. Okay, je sois, that is going to be the subjunctive. Now, we've got avoir. Again, avoir is always weird. Okay, so que j'ai, que tu aies, qu'il ait, que nous ayons, que vous ayez, qu'il ait. And I know that looks really weird because that's weird used to seeing that as our ending for imperfect, but hey, that's the whole verb now. And once again, this is a boot verb because we have those AIs in there, and here we still have those Ys, kind of like over here with être. Okay, now the other one I wanted to pop up here is faire. Now, faire, it's que je fasse, que tu fasses, qu'il fasse, que nous fassions, que vous fassiez, qu'il fasse. Okay, so this one has a totally irregular stem. It does not follow, well, probably because the eels else form doesn't have an ENT. That's probably why they have their own form. Okay, but yeah, okay, we still have the EESE, we still have the IONS, IEZ, ENT, but it's just this stem of fas that is going to be weird and lovely and irregular and all sorts of stuff, okay? So que je fasse, que tu fasses, qu'il fasse, que nous fassions, que vous fassiez, il fasse. And by the way, I have been using subjunctive with you guys a lot. If I want to say it is necessary that you do this for tomorrow, or it's necessary that you finish this for tomorrow, I've been using the subjunctive with you. You just didn't hear it, you just didn't see it, you didn't recognize it because you didn't know it yet. Okay, let's look at a few more irregular verbs. Okay, now, aller. So, que j'aille, que tu ailles, qu'il aille, que nous allions, que vous alliez, qu'ils aillent. So notice how we do have another boot verb, that we have this AI in here, but here it's only ALL. Okay, so really this is still going to be like the imperfect. Okay, but again, inside the boot, they have their own stem. So just watch out for that, especially when we're typing or something like that, because the L's and the I's will sometimes look alike, you know, so you got to look closely to make sure you don't make mistakes. Okay. Now, pouvoir, pouvoir is going to be que je puisse, que tu puisses, qu'il puisse, que nous puissions, que vous puissiez, qu'il puisse. So once again, this kind of reminds me a little bit of faire, because we still have our endings, our EESE, we still have our IONS, we still have our IZ and our ENT, but then, like I said, we get the stem in here of puisse. You know, and where does that come from? No idea. Okay. But again, and really faire and pouvoir, we use it a lot. All right. It's necessary that you be able to fill in Dr. and Mrs. Vandertramp or something like that. Okay. So like I said, that is going to be subjunctive. Okay. And then my last verb here for this slide is going to be savoir. Again, totally irregular. We have que je sache, que tu saches, qu'il sache, que nous sachions, que vous sachiez, qu'il sache. So again, we have our endings of EESE, IONS, IEZ, ENT. But then, like I said, we've got this weird stem of sache. Okay. And if I want to say, hey, you need to know this by tomorrow, or I want that you know this by tomorrow, well, then again, that's going to be subjunctive, and that's going to be savoir. So it's going to be sache. Okay. All right. And that is it. So we'll go ahead and start baby stepping through this packet, okay? There is no reason that you guys need to do this entire packet in one sitting. This is going to take us a few days, okay? So I am not going to throw the whole entire packet on you this week, okay? I'll probably assign different chunks of things like that because I want you to process this just like we would be doing in class. Okay, so go ahead, and if you want to, you either download the packet, figure out some way to write on it digitally, or if you have printing capabilities, you can print it out. Honestly, that would probably be best if there's any way that you can print it out. And so then you can follow along. If you can't print it, you can't figure it out how to do digitally, that's okay. Just go ahead and refer to it, look at the exercises, and you can go ahead and do it on notebook paper if that's what you need to do, okay? So, like I said, subjunctive, it is a mood, it's not a tense because you are putting your own little filter on it of how you feel about the situation, okay? And we'll be talking more about the indicative and the subjunctive when we get to the doubt section of the packet. But in the meantime, let's just go ahead and practice this. Again, if you have any questions on this, obviously you can rewatch this video. You can stop it and start it and pause it and rewind it as much as you need to. If you are still totally confused, totally lost, you guys know that you can reach out to me and I will be happy to help you.